Hey everybody, I decided to try a little bit of a different setting today, and you can see we are out here next to the creek. I thought this might be a good natural setting to do a review of A24's new release, First Cow. I guess it got a limited release right around the beginning of pandemic, but now is available to buy streaming for about $12.99 as of the second week of July. Although I'm sure within a week or so you'll be able to rent it video on demand. And this is going to tell you a little bit about whether it is worth it to do that. Now, First Cow is directed by Kelly Reichardt. I think I'm saying that correctly. I haven't seen other works from Kelly Reichardt, and I need to kind of catch up a little bit. So I apologize for not being super knowledgeable on her work. Although I do believe she did Wendy and Lucy, Certain Women, and Meek's Cut Off. Those are kind of her famous, more famous directorial efforts. But First Cow has been getting a lot of buzz lately because, of course, A24 automatically kind of garners some art house credibility. Of course, I am a huge fan of A24's output, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, and I pretty much am going to go check out almost anything that A24 will put out because they have a great eye for some awesome filmmaking. Now, First Cow has an interesting starting device. It starts in the present, even though it's a period piece, and it starts in the present and shows a person walking along the river with her dog. She happens to stumble upon something. She digs up looks like a rock, and it ends up being 2 skeletons. And this is kind of the starting device, sort of similar to Iceman, which I watched recently, where it's like, okay, now let's find out how these skeletons got here. So cut back to 1800s of indeterminate time. I would assume 1800s, maybe even earlier. But I would assume 1800s. You're in the Northwest, in Oregon. At that time, it's probably the Oregon Territory, or maybe it's a state at that point. And you are with Cookie Figowitz, and he's played by John Magaro, and he is with a bunch of trappers. And really quickly you kind of get a feel that he's kind of a sensitive soul to be out in the rugged West. The trappers, of course, are rough and tumble, and Cookie is out, finding mushrooms and finding, he finds like a salamander and he turns it over and he doesn't, take it, He seems unequipped for this world, and very quickly he meets up with another person, and this is a Chinese American immigrant named in the movie he's King Lu, and he's played by Orion Lee. And quickly we discover that these two are going to get along. So the two meet. King Lu tells Cookie a story about how he's out there in the wilderness, and Cookie definitely shows him some kindness. Later on, the two meet up again, and so begins friendship and kind of their adventure together, and that is really the crux of the story. Now, is this the kind of movie for you? If you like movies that are very character-oriented and very place-oriented, so this is all about a very authentic period setting, out in rural Oregon, and the setting itself is going to be a huge piece of this movie for you. If you love that and love to be immersed in that with lots of natural sounds and silences and conversation, then you're up for this. If a conversation-heavy, friendship-heavy movie is not yours, you want something that's more plot-heavy and action-oriented, then this movie is not for you. The really big strength of this movie, of course, is the relationship between Cookie and King Lu. King Lu's a little bit more, he's a little more of an idea person. He's a little more of a go-getter, and Cookie is a little more of a dreamer and a little more of a, like I said, he's the guy who wants to just be a cook. He wants to cook great food. He wants to have a hotel and a bakery. That's kind of his dream. And the two of them embark on a business venture together in this very rugged kind of outpost area. And I won't tell you exactly how that occurs, except that a cow, the first cow, is involved. I love this movie. To me, this is a really, really awesome movie about friendship, and really that is the crux of this story. If you're bought into the friendship between these two, then you're bought into the movie. Now, there is definitely, something they're doing as far as getting their business going and trying to, make money out in the Old West and try to make it for themselves. That is kind of the plot of the movie. But the point of the movie is really this friendship. Now, that being said, they do encounter other people. The most notable person they encounter is the Chief Factor. And he's played by Toby Jones, the great Toby Jones, who's been in a billion things. Character actor you will recognize. Even if you don't know, you know him. Barbarian Sound Studio. He's been in he was in the Hunger Games movie. He's been in a ton of things. So Toby Jones kind of plays like this, I guess, like the local magistrate. I don't know what you'd call them exactly. But he's definitely got power. He's got money. And he's got the ability to kind of make their business a little more notable for the area. Now, what I would say about this is it's one of the most subtle movies about kind of the American dream. What it means to try to make it in a world that's tough. There's a lot of subtle political things there, as in, what happens with different races back in this time period. What do you have to do to actually succeed in this time period? Is the myth of if you work hard and you put your head down, is that enough to make it in America, even back then? What's the use of poor people or less fortunate people, and how do you motivate them if you're the person in power? There's a lot of cool little elements in there if you want them, politically and socially. But if you just want a great friendship and a really solid, quiet story, it's beautiful. I would say this is going to be a very strange comparison. To me, I would almost compare it most closely to something like Midnight Cowboy. Where you have this just tons of scenes with just two characters that are kind of from two different worlds that end up together and are connecting, and you're getting to hear them talk to each other about their hopes and dreams and watch how they try to achieve that. To me, that is what makes it super similar in tone and impression to Midnight Cowboy, if not in the actual, setting obviously is vastly different. But almost that's what makes both of them kind of universal. They're both about what it means to succeed, what it means to have friendship, and what forces are kind of working for or against you in that endeavor. So, highly recommend First Cow, especially if you're kind of predisposed to this sort of thing. If you're not, you might give it a chance, but if a talky, slow, non-action oriented movie is not your cup of tea, then this will not be your cup of tea. So we will be back soon with some more reviews, and hope you enjoyed the different setting today.